thank you for coming on my show, Mary.
Thank you so much for having me.
What can you tell a little bit about yourself?
Um, I will know I am Mary Kate, but people call me Mary a lot. And then I guess, I am from the Philadelphia area. I've wanted to be an actress since I was like 4 years old. I used to like love watching the like after the Disney movies, sometimes they would have the like How We Made It or whatever. And I
Hmm.
was like obsessed with watching that, which I have a lot of siblings and they were always like, this is so boring. And I was like, no, this is the coolest thing ever. So I went to Fordham University in the Bronx. I studied film. I'm now in LA and I'm just always looking for like different opportunities. I sometimes do production assistant work. I model. I write screenplays as well, but I am primarily an actress and I've done comedy web series and I've done scary horror thriller movies and like more like drama type genre. So yeah.
And also, you graduated for Fordham University?
Fordham University, yeah.
Yes. And then that's where you got your acting degree. Is that correct?
I got my degree actually in film and video production with a
Hmm.
minor in film studies, a concentration, yeah, and like my comparative literature. So I didn't study acting. Actually, I studied film. So it was everything from film theory and different genres and film history, to actually like being in a studio, learning about, editing and camera and sound, and screenwriting as well. So I think it's been really helpful for me as an actress because I know what everyone else, like to some extent, has to do on set. I know that they're the expert in what they do, but I can also kind of make sure that I'm being the most helpful actor on set and I'm listening to what the lighting crew needs, what the
Hmm.
sound crew needs from me, because I have some experience in that as well. I studied improv at the Upright Citizens Brigade in New York, and then I also took acting classes at the Barrow Group in New York and at Margie Haber Studio in LA. So I've studied acting since then, but my degree is in film.
And you're from Philadelphia and you drove all the way to LA, or did you fly?
I flew. I gave away most of my belongings and I flew.
Um, did your family think you're crazy that you're moving to LA?
I wouldn't use the word crazy, but I think they definitely are sad that I'm across the country now a little bit. I mean, they're happy for me. They're like, this is what she's meant to be doing, and they're happy that I'm happy here. But, you know, my whole family's in Philadelphia, and they've
Right.
pretty much been in the Philadelphia area since they got to America.
Hmm.
For the most part, I have a cousin who lives in New York, but for me to move to LA has definitely been the biggest, you know,
Change.
separation.
Right. Of course, in 2022, you were in Fortress of Sin.
Yes.
And
Yes.
then, of course, in 2023, you were in Invisible Shark, and then Pushover, of course, and then Unrated. So we can go either way. What can you tell the audience a little bit about those roles that you played in, and where can they find you? Where can they
Sure.
find them, you, or how can they watch it?
Yeah, so Fortress of Sin, I actually have to check what it's streaming on right now. But I got that part through a friend. My director for the upcoming horror film Awaken the Reaper has worked with the director of that film, and he was in that film. So they kind of tapped me in to do the voiceover part for that, which was really cool. I really like doing voiceover. I have a lot of fun with voices in general. I feel like some every now and then I'll play a character who just talks like me, but I have had a lot of characters where it's like, oh, we want to make her voice a little higher, or like, oh, can you do this or that accent? And I think that that's a really helpful way for me to kind of find the
Hmm.
character. And so, getting to do the voiceover for Fortress of Sin was really cool experience
Right.
because it was one of my first voice jobs.
Hmm.
And it's a great team. And again, I was brought in by a friend, so I'm really grateful for that. Um, and then Invisible Shark, that's available on YouTube. That's a really cool film. It's starring my friend Belle, which was funny because we did not know that we were both in the project until we got to set. I had met her on a background gig months before, and then I show up that day for filming, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, it's you, like, I know you, this is so cool." That was really fun. We filmed it at Coney Island. It's very much like, kind of like an experimental indie
Mm-hmm.
project,
Mm-hmm.
so that was really interesting. And then Pushover is, ugh, it's so fun. I'm so impressed by Pushover because it's only 7 minutes long, and I feel like it does such a good job of it's funny, it's a great cast, great crew. I had such a, again, wonderful experience filming that. But what I love about it is that it's kind of funny. It's also like I feel like it really kind of touched me emotionally when we watched it for the first time. I was like, "Oh, this is really talking about like what we go through." So I'm really proud of that, and that's been doing really well. It's been doing the festival circuit, so it's not available streaming anywhere yet, but it's been up and down the coast. It was at the San Diego Film Festival. It was just at Miami International Film Festival. We were nominated for Best Ensemble Cast at Garden State Film Festival, which I was very thrilled about. And I'm really proud because we actually won the jury award for Best Short Film at Montclair Film Festival. And the director, Brian, like absolutely deserved it. And I'm just he created it, he wrote it, he put the whole thing together. So winning best short, I was like, yes, he deserves that so much. So it's not streaming yet. I don't know what the plan will be, but that would have to be once we're through
Mm-hmm.
festivals, which we
Mm-hmm.
just got accepted to another one. So we're still doing that.
Well, can't wait to talk about it more when it comes out, and you can tell the audience more about it and where they can watch it.
Yeah.
Um, so you're also a you said you're a model, but are you also sing as well?
I do. I sing a little bit. I more of like I sing as an actor.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that I would ever, I mean, I would, I guess, be open to it, but I'm not really going for like becoming like a recording artist making CDs. Although never say no, I don't know. But more of I did a lot of singing in high school. I really enjoy singing. And
Mm-hmm.
so like if there's a film that I have to sing a little bit, or not have to, but like that's a part of the character,
Mm-hmm.
that's absolutely something that I want to do. I did get to sing a little bit in Awaken the Reaper, which I think I'm a little bit more nervous about singing than I am about acting. So I feel a little bit more vulnerable. Um,
Right, right, I
but
understand.
I had a lot of fun singing in it.
Right. So a little bit about you. We go into details. Is you said you're a model, and so when you first started acting and modeling, did you start modeling first, or did you do acting first and then get into modeling?
Well, no, I definitely, I mean, if we're talking about first, it's like, well, I started doing theater when I was like 8,
Mm-hmm.
but my mom actually had a photographer friend when I was really little who took like art photographs of me, which she ended up like selling, which was very weird because we don't have a copy of the photo, but like someone has it hanging in their house. Um, I don't know. But I really, it was always for me, like I consider myself an actress first.
Mm-hmm.
I've always wanted to be an actress. I've always loved performing. My favorite game growing up was make believe. But I have also always been fascinated by modeling. I really love, for me, like editorial photo shoots. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm very interested in fashion too. Like I find Alexander McQueen's specifically, he's a designer who I find very inspiring. His like because I feel like for him it's not clothes, it's like a whole art.
Right.
I really love that. And that's also, I think, why I like editorial photo shoots because they're very artistic. There's,
Mm-hmm.
it's
Mm-hmm.
it's just so beautiful to
So
me.
you're a type of person, you like outdoor photo shoots, like the scenery, the trees, and you know.
Yeah, I mean, I like studio shoots too, but definitely just anything that's like interesting and
Mm-hmm.
kind of like there's a story there, is what I really like to do. So I definitely got into modeling as an offshoot of acting,
Mm-hmm. Did you
but I
ever did you ever saw yourself get into modeling?
You know what? When I was a little girl, I definitely wanted to. I definitely watched America's Next Top Model when I was like 8 years old. Because again, I just liked seeing the editorial photo shoots. I thought that was really cool. But I think Probably not, because when I was little, you had to be 5'11" to be a model, and
Hmm.
I'm a petite model. So it's really cool to see how the industry is kind of changing and opening up and embracing all forms
Hmm.
of beauty. Um, but yeah, when I was little, probably no, because even though I didn't know how tall I was going to be, I kind of looked around my family and was like, I'm probably not going to be tall enough.
My next question is, I think I'm asking for a lot of young male and female actors out there as well. But would you give advice for them to get into modeling as well and act, or do you think it's just it's just optional?
Oh, I mean, I think it's definitely optional. I think it's about doing what you enjoy. Cause like, even for me, I've noticed if I'm having fun in the audition, if I'm really excited about the character, I tend to go farther in the audition process.
Hmm.
Like you have to make sure that you're choosing jobs and roles and castings based off of things that are exciting for you and inspiring for you. And of course, we're all trying to make a living as well. I would say that modeling can be helpful if you like modeling.
Hmm.
It can be helpful as like a supplement to acting because it does get you more exposure, it gets you more experience on set, it gives you more knowledge about, the production process, and it does really well go hand in hand with commercial acting.
Right,
So sometimes I book a job and I'm not even sure if I'm a model or an actor because it's for a commercial gig.
right,
And I tend to do a lot more commercial modeling also because I am small. So that arena tends to be better for that.
right.
Um, but so I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say that like you have to. I
Hmm.
wouldn't. I think probably the best advice I would give is to not put pressure on yourself for what you have to do.
I
Obviously,
totally
you
agree.
run your business
Hmm.
and know yourself and like always be working on bettering yourself. But you want to make sure that you're leaning into things that you really enjoy, because then you'll find the right
Right.
jobs and it will
You know,
be
right.
a good situation for you.
Right. And we have to find something that we all like, and I know
Mhm.
that was the difficult question for me to ask you. I'm sorry it was a little off, but it's a good question because I think a lot of people are wondering, when they want to get into this acting industry, they see a lot of actors, A-list actors too sometimes. They do modeling and they do get, and then the next day they're on set, or the same day they're doing modeling and they're like, oh God, okay, I gotta hurry and get to on set on Chicago PD, for example, and you're like, whoa, wait, or something like that. It's like, so, that's why a lot of people are wondering, but also it's like, getting paid. So I think a lot of people are wondering what is the best path I should go? Should I do both? Or should I just choose one? And you answer the question for a lot of young actors or any age actors out there to encourage them to get, what they should do. Um, so my next question is, what is your upcoming projects?
I have a couple upcoming projects
If
that
you're
I have.
allowed to talk about them, I understand. If you're not
Yeah,
allowed to,
I
it's
mean, I
okay.
definitely can't say a lot, but I have probably let me think about it. Yeah, I probably have like two big projects right now that are upcoming
Hmm.
that I'm excited about. The first one is Awaken the Reaper, which I had mentioned. I That's how I found Fortress of Sin in the first place. I actually booked Awaken the Reaper first. I booked it in 2020, actually. It was a pretty long pre-production process, which was super helpful because my character, her name is Sarah.
Hmm.
I love her so much. And she's a very complex character.
Hmm.
My director and I were just talking the other day. It's like there's a lot of layers of getting to know her. So it was really helpful to have the rehearsals and the conversations, and kind of find her together. I'm in that process. And we filmed in Long Island, and it's a horror thriller project. It's on IMDb, and Deadline has written about it, so you can find a little bit about it online. But it's
Where
starring
can
Joe Winchell.
where can
Um,
people watch it?
they can't watch it yet because it's not out.
Oh, bummer.
But you can see if you Google Awaken the Reaper, a Deadline article should come up. And if you click it, there's actually our teaser trailer, which was created by our incredibly talented,
Mm-hmm.
blows me away, cinematographer Justin Paul. That's available on YouTube. So, and if you put in Awaken the Reaper teaser trailer on YouTube, you can also see it there. And it looks really cool. It's just kind of giving you an idea of the tone of the
Mm-hmm.
film and the visuals, and introduces you a little bit to some of our characters. So it's a teaser trailer. It's not a theatrical trailer, but
Right.
it's pretty cool.
Amazing.
Um, yeah, I'm really excited about that one. It has, again, Joe Winchell is in it. It also is featuring a performance by the late Luke Gossett Jr., who I did have the honor of getting to work with. And he was just the
Mm-hmm.
sweetest man, and just so incredible to work with. And like, will forever be grateful for that experience. And it also has Lance Henriksen is in it. Robin Curtis from Star Trek is in the film. Paul Ehlers, Nicola Mew is in it. So many amazing actors. And that really kind of became like my family in a way. It was a long production process, which helped us all like get really close and just create really exciting work. So I'm super excited about that one.
And
And then I also have, probably coming out sooner, is this comedy web series, Forever a Clone, which I booked pretty shortly after I moved to LA. So I filmed it just a few months ago. And again, it's a comedy web series. It's called Forever a Clone. It's created by Louis Fierce, and Jesse Ace, Matt Black Productions. And it's starring, I'm working with Andrew Brown, Hudson Long, Andy Luff, Jared Boyd Miller. And we're just kind of like this gang of friends kind of experiencing a very interesting kind of sci-fi experiment issue. So that
and
was
then
really cool.
where can I'm sorry, where can people see that?
That will be coming out, I believe, on YouTube this
Okay.
summer.
Now,
So
your
keep an
first
eye
one
out
that
for
you
next
talked
months.
about, pardon me, how long was the production? Because you said it was a long, um, the Wicked.
For Awaken the Reaper,
Yes.
that one we started principal photography in October of 2022.
Mm-hmm.
And I wrapped, it was also, it was a little bit delayed because of the SAG strike, of course. But so because of that, I wrapped in November of 2023. And I believe they've just kind of finished principal photography recently for everyone. So yeah.
Not that long ago.
Yeah.
So we're definitely gonna have you back when that is out so you can talk more about it.
Yeah.
Yes. So what is your short-term goal and your
My short-term
long-term goal?
goal?
Mm-hmm.
I suppose, for me, it's just always about like keeping booking roles. I would definitely, I'm absolutely open to doing TV, but I'm really such a film person that I would love to book more feature film roles, and hopefully ones that are, you know, gonna be in like Sundance or like go to Netflix or something like that. That's really my short-term goal. So, and then see where it goes from there. But you got to start kind of
Mm-hmm.
there.
Mm-hmm.
Or I mean, no, you start indie projects and then you go there.
Right. So confusing with all the indie projects and all the
And there's so many different paths, so
right.
there's that too. It's an interesting career because there's not clear steps you follow. It's more of
Mm-hmm.
a finding your way. But yeah.
Right. So my next question is, and I ask a lot of actors and actresses who come on my show, this question is because everybody has a different response to this answer, and I like it. But what is your advice for a lot of young actors, female and male, and then it doesn't matter from what age, to be honest, but especially for younger, elementary school kids and high school kids, and especially college kids who want to get into the acting world and acting industry, and they're going to auditions, and they go to auditions, and they audition for a role for a TV show or a movie, and they think they got it, and they are waiting and waiting, they get a no, and then they're thinking, especially for females or as yourselves a female, but you can speak for as a male, but females, you have a lot of young actors out there, that, or elderly people out there as well. They're thinking, is my hair too long? Am I not? tall enough? Am I what's you know what's going on in their mind. So
Mhm.
what's your advice for all the actors out there who want to open that door and just say, you know what, I want to do it, but now I'm coming back and I'm thinking, should I close the door? Is this not for me? Why I'm auditioning for 10 roles and I'm not getting anything?
Mhm.
What's your advice?
Yeah, there's a lot there. I mean, I would say for starters, I love acting. I think you have to love acting because you do get rejected more often than not. And when you are working like I mean, I've had days on set where like because I've had to travel, it's like I've been awake for like 27 hours. So if you don't love acting and you don't want to be awake that long, you don't want a 14-hour day on set, you might want to consider if maybe this is the right thing for you. It's interesting because you have to stay sensitive enough to be able to key into other people's emotions and feel for them. But you also have to develop a thick enough skin that you're not bothered by not hearing back. Because generally, every now and then I get a message back where they're like, oh, we've cast someone else. But usually, if you don't get it, you just don't hear from them.
Hmm.
Which in this case, I actually kind of prefer because I can just move on with my life.
Hmm.
As far as your look goes, you can't, if I spent every day stressing out about the fact that I'm not a tall person, I would be wasting my time because there's nothing I can do about that, you know? I can dye my hair if I want, if a role wants me to. There's certain things you can do, but I think really with that type of thing, you just kind of have to embrace who you are and love who you are. Like for me,
Hmm.
like I've found a way to just be very proud of my family. So some days you feel beautiful, some days you don't, but I know that I'm kind of representing my ancestors with what I look like. I don't know. And I'm not going to destroy that
Hmm.
because I'm trying to fit every single mold. You're not going to fit every single mold.
Yeah,
It's not
that's true.
possible. And if you try to, you're actually going to limit yourself more because what you would have been perfect for, you've now kind of weakened that. So I think that with the whole process, you have to embrace who you are as a person. You have to embrace what you look like. You have to embrace what interests you. It's so interesting to me. I go to sets. Um, and all the actors I talk to all have different goals. Like some people really want to be on a sitcom. Some
Hmm.
people really want to do like superhero movies. I really want to do like, you know, movies that I've loved, which tend to be like very sometimes funny, but like kind of dramas like Tarantino or like I love Slumdog Millionaire. I love Scorsese movies. Like those are the kinds of things that I really want to be. So you kind of realize that everyone has different goals. You have to figure out what it is that you really want to do because there are so many options in this career. And then when you're in an audition, I mean, I still struggle with this sometimes, but it is advice that I've seen a lot of successful actors give. And I kind of touched on it earlier. Find that I tend to do better and go further when I'm having fun with the audition.
Hmm.
Part of that is because the role is meant for me, and part of it is because I choose to have more fun versus stressing out about being what they want.
Hmm.
People say this a lot. They don't always know what they want. I've heard from like big Hollywood casting directors and like seminars and stuff where they have said themselves, I don't always know what I want. You have to show me. So in an audition, I think you just kind of have to have fun with it. You have to find something about the character that you relate to, you understand, you know them in some way, like find your way to key in and then make a choice
Right.
and make a choice that makes sense with the story,
Hmm.
but then just make a choice and own it and have fun with it. And then what I do is after I send in, because a lot of times it's self tapes now, after I send in my tape, I like have a spreadsheet where I keep track of everything. I fill it out in my spreadsheet and then I move on. And then it's like you have to put your all into it when you're preparing and doing the audition and then
Hmm.
completely let it go. And then if you hear from them, you can remember and then kind of go back into it. But for me, I think as part of like taking care of myself and also like, just being realistic in some way, it's kind of like once I send in the audition, it's like, okay, what do I have to do next?
Hmm.
Oh, now I have this audition to do, or I
Right.
have this rehearsal that I have to do for a part I've already booked. So I'm just going to focus on that. And I'm not going to stay up all night worrying about an audition I did last week because there's nothing I can do about it now. And also, sometimes you hear back from them within a day, sometimes you hear back from them within a week. I've applied for things and heard back 5 months later, and I've genuinely at that point forgotten. Like, I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I kinda remember that," but, like, it's been so long. So you really can't be like,
Right.
'cause if you do that and then
You
they do
can't,
wait
you
6
know,
months, you've just destroyed your stress levels for 6
right.
months.
Just
So
do
you
it
just kinda have to let it
and
go.
then rub it off 100%.
Yeah.
You're right. You can't do anything about your height either. It's I'm short too. I'm 5'4", but but
Feel
you're
you.
right. We can't do anything about the heights at all, 100%. So, you know, for yourself as an actress, but you said you have siblings.
Yes.
Is your siblings also in acting, or are you the only one?
No, I'm the only one.
And are you the youngest or the oldest?
I'm neither. I'm the middle child. Well,
Wow.
there's 4 of us, but I'm the 3rd, so
And
I'm
did your siblings ever thought they saw you be an actress?
uh, well, probably. I mean, they were when I said, like, make believe was my favorite game to play as a kid, they were my co-actors in those situations. And my older sister's a writer, and I think you can see that too, because we would think of these really elaborate stories, when we were playing make believe. Um, but I started dancing when I was 2,
Mm-hmm.
and they went to all of my dance recitals for 16 years. And I started doing theater when I was 8, and, my parents were really good about coming out and supporting my shows, so I don't know that any of my siblings would be surprised just because I've spent my whole life performing, and I've also spent my whole life saying that I wanted to be an actor. I have not changed that script at all, so, like, I feel like it would make sense to them because it's what I've been saying the whole time, you know?
So what is your greatest strength so far as an actress?
My greatest strength? Oh god, I have been told that I have really good timing, which is really helpful for comedy. Um, and that's something I find interesting because my family's very funny. I feel like we communicate a lot of ways with humor. So someone recently was like, comedy is harder than drama. And I've heard people say that a lot. And I don't know if I feel that that's true for me, or at least I'm not scared of comedy, but I think again it's because it was so normalized in how I grew up with how we communicate. But so yeah, I guess like comedy and comedic timing and timing in general, because I do really love working in drama. And so I think I try to apply those skills to that
Hmm.
as well. But since it seems, which again, this is kind of new information to me, but since it seems that a lot of people are more scared of comedy than drama, I would say that that is a strength because I didn't know I was supposed to be scared of it.
What do you say is your greatest accomplishment as an actress so far?
Working with Lou Gossett Jr. and Lance Henriksen on Awake in
Hmm.
the Reaper, for sure. I did not have the pleasure of working with Robin Curtis, although I am told that she was absolutely lovely and amazing. Um, but I did get to work with the two of the two of them, and they were both just such joys to work with, and just like it was really, really cool and exciting for me. And I was like, I can't believe this is happening.
And how was it working with them?
It was great. It was very different. Lance he was actually on our first day of filming. So it was literally my first day on set this project at all. And it was cool because we were at the hotel the night before and we just got to sit down and talk to him for a really long time. And he was just so funny. Like just the funniest person. Like I just love listening to his stories. And he was really good on set about making sure that I felt comfortable with what we were doing, but he was also just cracking everybody up, and it was just like he was really good about like bringing the team together. Which our director was really good at doing that too, but it was really awesome just having it our first day and we're all working with the star and he's like, all right, we're a family, let's do it. And I loved that. And then Lou Gossett Jr., we flew to Georgia to work with. and he was just amazing. I learned so much from him just watching him, you know, and just seeing how he was able to snap into the role and then snap back to being himself. And he was really fun to talk to on set, but he was just really, really inspiring. And actually, the last thing he said to me was, hold on, I'm a little sad. He was just like, I look forward to working with you again. Like, I'll see you on another set. And that meant the world to me because it was so generous of him. I'm a young actor, you know, I haven't been in these starring films yet, and it was kind of like a vote of confidence from him, and he didn't have to say that, you know, and he did, and I am I would definitely feel that loss. I was really looking forward to seeing him when the movie came out. So he was the greatest, and yeah.
Did you get to take a picture with him?
I did, yes. We got to take lots of pictures actually, because the in the film they have pictures together. So, but then I got to keep them for myself as well.
That's amazing. It's a
Yeah,
memory. Many more
yeah.
to come. 100%. You know, who is your dream actor that you want to work with?
Uh, so many. I These questions always stress me out because I know I'm gonna forget somebody that I would love to work with.
It's okay.
I
And
actually
always
have like a
remember
list
when you
of
come.
like people I'd really like to work with. I would love to work with Margot Robbie because she's such an inspiration to me.
Hmm.
I'd love to work with Zendaya because she is such an inspiration to me. I would love to work with, honestly, like, oh God, who was it the other day? I was watching something and I was like, I need to add that person to my list. Emma Stone, Jacob Elordi, I think is a super talented actor in my age category. I have loved everything I've seen him in, so I'd love to work with him. Just like, oh God, there's so many. Just anybody who's in a movie that I love, that I
Meryl
feel
Streep.
is putting out great work because I know that working with them, they will challenge me to do a better job every time, and you'll learn so much from them, and they also just seem like really cool people who choose really cool projects. So like if you're working with them, you're probably doing something really cool. So there's
I just had to ask you to see
so
who
many.
I just
Matthew
had to
McConaughey, like so many.
well, I just had to ask you to see who were you gonna say. But you didn't say Meryl Streep.
Oh, I would love to work with her too. I don't know that I mean that's just like she's honestly, I feel like most of the acting advice that I have, like things that I do as an actor, I've learned from her. So maybe I'm still too shy to even say Meryl Streep, but like obviously
She
I would
is
also love to work with her.
you know, Meryl Streep is amazing.
She's the goat. Like I can't.
She she can sing and dance and act and you name it. It's amazing all the roles she's done. So,
Yeah. I watched Sophie's Choice recently and I was just like, and that for me, because I really like doing voices and accents, and that's something I work with, like I was absolutely blown away by
mhm.
her accent work and her language in Sophie's Choice. I was like, she's just exquisite.
Yes, 100%. I agree with you. What role or if any have deeply affected you or perhaps changed you in a permanent manner?
Like that I've seen in a film or that
No,
I've
as yourself as acting.
as an actor. Probably that would have to be Sarah in Awaken the Reaper, just
Hmm.
because she's a very complex character, and to me, you know, one thing about acting for me is I really try to be responsible to all the people that I'm representing because every character is based on real people and I always want to do justice to all the stories that I'm telling. And I've played a lot of mean people, by the way, but I I try to remember that that comes from somewhere too. And sometimes the responsibility is to show like the faults in someone's actions so that audiences see that. But Sarah, to me, she was just such a joy to play. She was also very challenging to play. But I like characters who are more challenging, who kind of like open me up, and kind of help me get more emotionally expanded, if that makes sense. Because I think probably for me, the challenge wasn't understanding her. The challenge was all the emotions I had to do for her. But I was excited that I got to do that. Um, and I think I care. I just care so much about what she's going through, and like I'm very defensive of her and protective of her, and like, yeah, I love her.
What's your favorite memory so far on set? I know there's many more roles you're gonna do, but so far with the sets that you've done right now, what's your favorite memory?
So many. That's a really hard question because I feel like it's like every project you have a favorite memory. So then I'm always like, well, if I say that memory, then I'm neglecting that other project. Um, oh gosh. This is probably it's such a like little thing, but I almost feel like it's fair as like a balancer. There's a really cool set we got to work on Awaken the Reaper. And it was one of my favorite scenes to film because I just
Hmm.
felt so free and so playful, and we just had so much fun. And it was like we'd had a long day shooting, and it was the last thing we filmed that day. So it was just like we were down to our cinematographer, sound cameraman, PA, director, actor, and me. And it was my favorite memory because I think every time I rewatch that scene, it like brings me joy again to watch because I remember how much fun that I had with it, and I feel like it was very successful and it translated really
Hmm.
well. So yeah.
Wow, amazing. So, as yourself, where do you see yourself still living in LA or maybe going to New York for acting or what do you?
Um, well, I just came from New York. I was in New York for 8 years, and I love New York. I think that's one thing. There's such a like conversation around New York or LA, and you have to like one and hate the other. And maybe it's because I'm from the Philadelphia area and not from either place, but I disagree. I love them both. Leaving New York was very emotional for me because it had been my home for so long, and I feel like I really grew up there, and it's just like it's such a beautiful, special place
Hmm.
for me.
Hmm.
But I also think that I did have to leave because you kind of sometimes have to put yourself in new environments in order to like take the next step in your growth journey. And I've always wanted to live in LA, and I hate winter. And
Same here.
I hate winter. I hate being cold. I love snow for like a day, and then I hate being cold. So LA is really nice because it doesn't get that cold. And I've just been having a really great experience since I moved here. I'm really happy here, so I would love to stay. But of course, if I get a really cool role and they want me to fly to New York or Thailand or Italy, like
Hmm.
that's fine. I'll do that.
Yes, I don't like the code either. Do you have any funny or interesting stories behind set so far?
So many. I will say I mean, Forever a Clone was a comedy. So I'm working with a bunch of really funny actors. So everything was really funny on that set. Um, and I actually chipped my tooth on that set, which
Oh wow.
I just got it fixed on Friday. I'm very excited
What
to like
happened?
well, we were doing like a little stunt where I had to like put a bottle to my mouth,
And it
and
broke?
it broke my tooth.
What? How?
I don't know. It was like kind of a fast movement, and then it was like a cut, and then whatever. So I somehow, yeah, I don't know how. It was funny because I thought I just like I had like a ringing experience, and
Did it hurt?
it kind of, but it didn't really. It wasn't like a sharp pain. It was more just like a jarring thing. But I was like, I think did I lose my tooth? And everyone was
Did
like,
it was
no,
I'm
it was
sorry,
really small. It was a
I have
really
a lot
small chip.
I have a lot of questions. I'm sorry. But was it bleeding?
No, no, it was just the tip of my tooth. It was just a little bit.
Okay.
But so I just got it fixed. But it was funny, like, because I don't know. I feel like I've heard of so many actors I really admire who like broke their foot on set or like got a concussion. And I was like, I chipped my tooth. LOL. Like,
So
anything.
it's just that you were trying to open a bottle and it broke your tooth?
Yeah. Yeah. But
Wow.
it's fixed now. It's all good. It was funny. I thought it was funny. And so I was like, that was funny. Or one thing I think again, I keep talking about it, but A Week in the Reaper, I think because I spent so much time on it, I have the most stories from it. That's a really that one's funny just in the sense that it's a horror thriller movie. It's very psychological, it's dark. There's moments of humor because I think the writer Dave Campfield did a really good job of making it true to life. And like life is funny and serious at the same time.
Hmm.
So, but it's not like a comedy movie. Like you're not gonna laugh throughout watching it. Probably. But so many of the actors are very funny people. So like as I was saying, Lance Henriksen was just everything he was saying. Like he was just cracking us up. And then we would have to go back to being like serious, but like he had all these little under the breath, like wisecracks. So he's just hilarious. Our lead, Joe Winchell, is actually a stand-up comedian. So hilarious, like just so much fun. And we got a lot of, it was funny because we sometimes the director would be like, okay, like now just like talk, and like
Hmm.
he would get some really funny reactions out of us because we would just riff. And I have the most fun when it's like you do everything that's scripted and then you have a little moment to play, because
Right.
then I think even if you go back to what's scripted, you're a little bit looser. um and so I think that's why I liked the, when I was saying one of my favorite memories on set was the really cool set experience we
Hmm.
had. And part of the reason that was so much fun is because Joe and I were just kind of playing around and making each other laugh. And like, it was really cool. And it was also, we were filming at a house that was, like, it was just someone's house. Like, we just, the director drove by and like saw this amazingly decorated house and was like,
Hmm.
hey, can we film here? And so there's something about like spontaneity of that, that just made it really fun. So I feel like, I don't know, I've worked with a lot of funny people. So I don't have a specific story really. It's just all the time people say funny things and it's great.
Well, it's I shouldn't be laughing, but it is kind of funny that your tooth kind of broke.
It's funny. That's the first thing I thought of. I was like, LOL, I just chipped my tooth like 2 months ago on set. And I was like, this is funny.
What was everyone else? I'm curious, what was everybody else's reaction?
Well, the director was really sweet about it. And he was like, I'm so sorry. And I was like, it's not your fault. Like, I did it. But, and then the lead in the project, Andrew Brown, uh, is dating a dentist, actually. So he was like, let me send her a picture and get advice for you. So everyone kind of, and then it was great because then we just moved on. And then it was like, it didn't even happen. But everyone was really sweet about it. It was just kind of, we just had to take a minute so I could go look in the mirror and confirm that I had indeed chipped my tooth.
And it was chipped.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah, and you got it fixed. That is really funny, actually. Yeah,
Yeah.
and you said there was ringing, so did it hurt a little bit or not?
Not really. It was just because what had happened is I brought the bottle to my mouth and it hit my teeth from like vertical.
Okay,
Then it was like, it probably actually, like they might have used that shot. It might have looked really good with the cut. But then I just was like, wait a second. I just, and you could like hear it. Everyone's head was like, I heard that. So yeah.
yeah. And did you? I'm sorry, I have to ask no more questions, but did you think you broke your tooth, or did anybody or the set pe or the other
Well,
or the
I
me?
kind of did because I wasn't sure if it was glass in my mouth or something else. And it was my tooth. So I like, because I immediately was like, did I chip my tooth? And Andrew looked at me and he was like, no, you didn't, because it was really small. So he didn't see it. And I was like, okay. Like I let myself believe him for a minute because that would be the ideal choice.
Right.
And then I was like, "Mm." And then I went to the bathroom and I was like, no, I did chip my tooth. And I came out, I was like, see guys, it's like not there. So yeah,
That's
it
when
was
everybody's
the
like,
early
oh,
reaction, I would have to say, because I know that like you can really damage your teeth from like opening bottles with your teeth. So that's something I don't do. But it
mhm.
was so adjacent to that that I was like, I feel like I feel like I might have done this. I feel like yeah.
Um, yeah, it's amazing how we make ourselves happy and laugh on set, and we become a family, right?
Yeah.
And that's one way to have fun, the family. And it's not a competition. We just get along. We just laugh and enjoy being on set and being a family, and it's kind of like a family that's there, but your real family somewhere else, but we're all, it's like
Yeah, you
supporting
have
each
like
other.
lots of found families all around
Hmm.
where where you worked, which is really fun. Because I still, it's like I care so much about my castmates. They are
Right.
special to me. So
So my last question, one of the last questions, but is that you can correct me. Did you say you did theater?
I did, yeah.
And then, so my follow-up question is, a lot of I ask people this as well, but do you like theater or do you like being on screen? Because I know a lot of actors say when you're on theater, you're doing something and you say the wrong line. Everybody else on set just kind of follow along and they're like blah blah blah, and you're like, yeah, that's so cool. And then, but on camera, you say something wrong, they're like, cut, restart, and then you have to start over again. So what's
Yeah.
your opinion?
Again, I feel like we live in a very much of an either or stage, New York or LA, theater, film. And I just, no. Like I'm not I like both. They're just different. I love, again, I started performing when I was 2 and I danced for 16 years. That was live. There's something really special about live performance and it is fun and it's so interesting. Different stresses and different joys with each. So, when you're doing a live show, you get the adrenaline, you feeding off of the audience. And I am an extrovert, so I do very much absorb energy from people around me.
Hmm.
Not to be one of those people, but it's true. And I get energy from the actors, and it is kind of fun thinking on your feet. There's more pressure about making sure you get everything exactly correct, but I kind of hold myself to that anyway. Maybe because I started out in theater, but it's like I always want to show up memorize. If I book a role, I'm in the middle of memorizing things right now because I feel like I can actually be a lot more free once
Hmm.
I know what I'm doing. um, you have to prepare and then kind of throw it all away. And that's applied a little bit differently, theater or film. There's more pressure with theater because you can't cut. You can't be like, sorry, audience, I have to go run it back. But I think it helps you a lot with your nerves and learning how to kind of keep going through mess ups. And also, if someone else is messing up, how you can make a choice that actually sometimes can be more interesting. Um, but the same thing happens with film. And of course, we do cut. But I think maybe this isn't talked about a lot, but I've definitely filmed like whole scenes where someone has messed up and we've kept going just as we would in theater. And I've worked with a lot of people who've done theater too, and maybe that's why. But again, sometimes you can find something really interesting there. Of course, you want to make sure that you always get a take that is accurate to what the script says. Um, but sometimes it's fun to see what happens when things go wrong.
Hmm.
So I don't prefer one or the other. It's just different. There's different opportunities with either, and of course there's different pressures, right? Because the camera can get a lot closer to your face than the audience can when you're on stage. So
Yeah,
again, there's different things,
100%.
there's different things you can do, and there's different things you have to worry about doing, right?
Right.
So I like
Both.
both.
I totally agree. It's true. It's fun doing both ways. I like camera the better, but I'm not a
I mean, I majored in film in college, so I'm very much a cinephile. I'm obsessed with movies. I'm obsessed with the whole process of movies. But like I also every time you go to a live show, you feel like exhilarated. Um,
right.
and I have so much respect for theater.
Hmm.
So, you
And
know,
you're also a screenwriter.
yeah, yeah,
So you have a lot on your belt. You're a model, an actress, screenwriter, and a singer.
yeah.
And so do you have any hidden talents that nobody knows about except your family?
I only know how. Um, Oh, well, that addendum makes it different. I was gonna say like I can do like the splits, but that's probably not surprising because I'm a dancer. Um, I'm like fairly good at learning languages, but
Hmm.
I don't know that that's a secret. Like, I'm trying to think of something that only my family knows. I'm a really goofy person. I
Mhm.
don't know that people on Instagram always see that. I think I'm showing that more recently, but probably historically, maybe people don't know that. I don't know that that's a talent, but it's true that like my family, it's like I'm very silly. This is- But I don't know that I have any hidden talents that like no one knows
Not
about.
yet.
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Okay, my last question is, where can everybody find you? I mean, not everybody. I'm just saying, what do you do when you're not acting, when you're not singing and screenwriting? What do you do for fun when you're your own
Oh,
time?
yeah, well, I love reading and watching movies, so those are my two big things. I also love listening to music, which I feel like a lot of people do as like a while they're doing something else, and I do as well. But like I will also like just sit down and listen to like sometimes a song comes on, I'm like, no, I need to just listen to this. Like I'm obsessed with music, honestly. Like it's maybe that's a hidden talent is I and like curating playlists is my
Who's your favorite artist?
passion. Ugh, I hate that question too, because no matter what I'm doing, I'm dissing somebody else that I love. But I did, I guess, write my college thesis on Lorde and her like it was a class on how music and culture are interwoven. So the music reflects the culture, but also the culture reflects the music.
Hmm.
And so I wrote like a 30-page paper on how Lorde is the voice of my generation. Um, so it's probably fair to say Lorde is like one of my absolute top favorite artists. I love her. And then I also really like, as far as like in my free time, I love yoga, dancing, cooking, basically various types of creative expression. So like it's all like sometimes it's a hobby and sometimes it's what I do for a living, but generally that's what I'm doing. So drawing, I love drawing
Hmm.
and painting. So yeah.
Sounds like you have a fun, lots of hobbies.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, Mary, I do appreciate you coming on my show. It means a lot. And I would love to always have you back on my show and talk about your next upcoming projects.
Well, thank you. I've had so much fun speaking with you. I really
Hmm.
appreciate it.
Yeah, and I would love to have you back and when your next project comes back and talk about your other films.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mary.
Thank
I
you.
should say Mary Kate. I'm sorry when you
Oh,
said
yeah, it happens all the time. My parents gave me two first names, but
yeah. Do you prefer Mary or do you prefer Mary Kate?
I prefer Mary Kate. Yeah.
Okay, I do apologize.
It's okay. No, a lot of people call me Mary. So
Well, thank you again, Mary Kay, and I look forward to having you back.
thank you. Have a great rest.